Section 1. The Empire that Forgot Its Soul. The world once believed that the American dream would never end. A land of freedom, power, and endless wealth, where every nation looked up in awe. But today, that dream feels like a fading echo, a shadow of a promise the empire could no longer keep. Look around. Chaos in the streets, division in the hearts, corruption in the system. America, the self-proclaimed guardian of democracy, is now a prisoner of its own hypocrisy. It preached liberty, yet built empires through wars. It printed money, yet buried the world in debt. It promised hope, but sold illusions. The empire hasn't fallen overnight, it's rotting from within. And every empire that forgets its soul dies not by the sword, but by decay. Section 2. The Rise of the Dollar Empire. To understand America's fall, we must first understand how it rose. After World War II, the U.S. held more than half of the world's gold. Its factories were untouched, its military unmatched, and its currency unstoppable. In 1944 at Bretton Woods, the world made a deal. The US dollar would become the global reserve currency. Every country would trade through it. Every nation would depend on it. And thus, America discovered a new kind of weapon. Not nuclear, not military, but monetary. With the dollar as its sword, it conquered without invading. It didn't need to occupy lands. It occupied economies. Oil, the blood of modern civilization, was priced in dollars. And that meant every nation on earth had to bow. Not to Washington's army, but to its printing press. The petrodollar system became the invisible chain binding the world to the American throne. But like every empire intoxicated by power, America forgot the oldest rule of history. Every system built on greed eventually consumes itself. Section 3. The Internal Rot. Empires never die from the outside first. They crumble from within, morally, socially, spiritually. America began to worship a new god, consumerism. People no longer believed in community. They believed in brands. Family broke. Faith faded. The rich became gods. The poor became invisible. And truth became a product sold to the highest bidder.
Politics
became theater. Media became propaganda and democracy. It became an illusion, a corporate puppet show dressed as freedom. Meanwhile, the same country that built the internet now drowns in misinformation. The same nation that claimed moral leadership turned into a spectacle of division, race against race, class against class, man against woman, left against right. No empire can survive when its citizens stop believing in its soul. Rome fell when its people stopped caring. America is walking the same road, and history never forgives repetition. Section 4. The geopolitical shift. While America decayed inside, others were quietly rising. China built factories, not fantasies. Russia built alliances, not illusions. And the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, laid the foundation for a world no longer ruled by one flag. They call it a multipolar world, a new era, where no single empire dictates the rules. And this, more than anything else, terrifies Washington. For 80 years, the U.S. played the world like a chessboard. Now, the pawns are turning into players. BRICS is expanding, with Saudi Arabia, Iran, Egypt joining the circle. These nations hold oil, gold, population, and industry, the very ingredients of empire. America still shouts about freedom, but the world has stopped listening. Section 5. De-dollarization. The end of the financial throne. The dollar was America's crown, and the world is taking it away. Saudi Arabia now sells oil in Chinese yuan. Russia trades gas in rubles. India buys energy with its own currency. And BRICS is building a new settlement system, one that no longer runs through the American banking network. For the first time since 1944, the dollar's throne is shaking. Because when trade moves away from the dollar, America loses its power to print wealth from thin air. The empire that lived off the world's labor now faces the price of its illusion. This is not just de-dollarization, this is Domricanization of the global economy. Section 6. The Muslim world. From victims to visionaries. And in this great shift stands the Muslim world. Once the center of science, trade, and knowledge, now fragmented, dependent, and distracted, yet the potential remains untouched. The Muslim world holds the world's energy, the key trade routes, and a youth population larger than Europe's entire workforce. But potential without purpose is just a statistic. The truth is harsh. Muslim nations today import technology, education, and culture, but export raw resources and cheap labor. We build mosques, but not laboratories. We quote the past, but fear the future. The Ummah must wake up not just emotionally, but strategically. Faith without power is vulnerability. And unity without intelligence is chaos. The next rise of the Muslim world will not come from slogans, but from science, strategy, and self-respect. Section 7. The Roadmap to 2035. By 2035, the global order will be rewritten. If the Muslim world wants a place in that table, it must act now. Step 1. Economic independence. Create inter-Muslim trade networks, digital currencies, and gold-backed reserves. Step 2. Knowledge revolution. Invest in technology, AI, biotechnology, and space. Not just weapons or oil. Step 3. Media and narrative control. Own your story. Build platforms that speak truth instead of consuming Western propaganda. Step 4. Political alignment. Stop fighting each other over borders drawn by colonizers. Start building regional defense, data, and trade alliances. Step 5. Spiritual revival, not in words but in ethics. A nation that forgets God loses direction. But a nation that uses faith to fuel innovation becomes unstoppable. Section 8. The Final Awakening. The fall of America is not the rise of Islam. It is only an opening in history's gate. Empires fall every few centuries, but civilizations rise only when their people decide to change. The question is no longer will America fall. The real question is, who will rise after it? Will it be China, fueled by discipline and ambition, or the Muslim world, reborn through unity, knowledge, and vision? The next empire will not be built by bombs, but by ideas. When whoever owns the next great idea owns the future. So remember this. The collapse of one empire is not tragedy. It is a test. And for the Muslim world, that test has already begun.